session, we learned about routing. So, how to configure routes? We learned about how to define routes and how to define route parameters, and we learned about how to define route child routes. How to define child routes? All these we learn. Now we need to see how we can use route guards and all. First, we need to see one end-to-end example. So today we will see how we can work with end-to-end application. We will create one end-to-end application. So end-to-end application, that means in the backend we will use MongoDB for database. We will use Node.js for server side. We will use Express as middleware, and in the front end we will use Angular. So technically you can use in the backend any technology that you know: Java, .NET, PHP, Python, anything in the backend. So your backend database, server-side technologies and middlewares can be anything. You have to learn in the backend how to create API. You need to learn how to create API. Your technologies will teach you. Java will teach you APIs. .NET will teach you APIs. PHP. You will learn about web services. You have to do that in your backend technology. Here I am not teaching you MongoDB or Node.js or Express. I will give you simple points so that you can practice, you can try. So we will use MongoDB for database, where we will keep all the data. Communication with the data and client side, it is managed by Node.js and Express. Now we will create API by using this, and that API we will consume in Angular. Already previously we saw Fake Store or we saw NASA APIs. They are all built by somebody using some backend technologies. So here we have to build our own API. Let's see how. So I'm not teaching these databases and all. Simple idea which you can practice, right? First, what you have to do is, so you have to create database in MongoDB. We have to create a database in MongoDB. For that, first what you do, so download and install MongoDB on your PC. I will give you the link here. You can go to the official website of MongoDB, download. This is the MongoDB official website. This is the MongoDB official. Actually, MongoDB is a complete cloud system. MongoDB is a cloud service. It provides lot of features. So in that cloud service, we are just using database. We are using MongoDB database. So our concept is to not to learn MongoDB, just to use it. You can simply use it. What you do is, here you download MongoDB. You can see the current version and the platform. So for which platform you want, for all platforms it is available. And here MSI zip files will be there. You download the MSI. MSI is installer, Microsoft installer. Installer, it will guide you step by step, and you just follow next. That is finish. Simple, just like you done Node.js. Huh? I will copy this link. From here you can download. And actually MongoDB, you can work in command line or you can work in graphical interface. Because we are not learning database, we will use graphical interface. So MongoDB actually installs two tools. One is CLI. CLI is command line tool. Another one is MongoDB Compass. MongoDB Compass is a GUI tool. This is a GUI tool for creating database, managing the database. So you have to, when you install, it will install both of them. So MongoDB will install CLI and Compass. While installing, it will ask you, do you want to use Compass? So you select that option, then it will install Compass. People who learn MongoDB, they learn about commands, by using commands, how to create database. But you don't need any commands. You can use this GUI tool and simply you can create database, tables, manage everything. So what you have to do is, first after installing, what you do is start MongoDB server. Every database have a server. Oracle, MySQL, MongoDB, every database will have server. You have to make sure that server is running. First you have to start the server. Generally, while using Oracle, MySQL, the servers will start automatically. Even MongoDB will start. But due to any technical reason, server is not starting. Then you cannot connect, you cannot create with the database. So make sure that it is started. How? You have to go to, so to start the server, what you have to do is go to services.msc. You open services.msc in your computer. It will open the Windows services. It will show you the Windows services. These are Windows services. Here it will show what services are currently running on your PC. In this, you will find MongoDB service, MongoDB server, and its status is currently running. So that is good. So if it is not running, you have to right click and start. Already it is started. So make sure that it is running, right? If it is not running, you have to start it. So MongoDB is running successfully. Go to services.msc and start MongoDB server. We have to start this. So its status must be running. Okay. Next, now open MongoDB Compass on your PC. You can open MongoDB Compass. So MongoDB Compass, this is the tool. Once you install MongoDB on your PC, you will get that MongoDB Compass. Open that MongoDB Compass and you can see this is the graphical tool. Now here important is it is asking connection string. How to connect with the server? You have to connect with the server. Actually, every database have a connection string. Oracle connections, SQL connections. When you learn about those in your technology, you are learning Java with Oracle or PHP with MySQL. Then those technologies will teach you what is the connection string, which connection string to connect with which database. Of course, you have websites, like you have a website connectionstrings.com. You can visit this website. It will show the list of all databases in the world. These are all the databases in the world. And it will show connection string for every database. Because we are not sure which database, so which project is using. You may be working with some unique database, so from the companies. You will not get a chance always to work with Oracle or MySQL like databases. So different databases companies may be using. In that case, this is one good repository. Developers regularly follow this because almost every database in the world, its references are present here. References means how to connect, what is the connection string, what are the issues will come, how to resolve them, all questions, answers will be here. So this is a good repository. Instead of wasting your time in Google, searching and all, better you come here, you will get answers for all database. So database connections related reference is here. So now you can click any database, it will show you the connection string for it, how to connect. So many connection string options will be there. For MongoDB, what you need is, so open MongoDB Compass and connect. You have to connect to server using following connection string. This connection string is standard MongoDB :127.0.0.1:27017. This is the standard connection string for MongoDB from any technology. If your Java is using MongoDB, .NET is using MongoDB, they can use. Then we have to connect by using this connection string. So you have to write this connection string here. It is asking connect to MongoDB, and this is the URL. Here you have to type MongoDB :127.0.0.1:27017 and connect. Click on the connect button and connected successfully. You can see it is connected successfully. Once it is connected successfully, you can go to databases. These are all the databases already we have here. Some databases are there, DemoDB, iShopDB, ProjectDB. These are all databases. Now you need to create a database here. You need to create a database, a table, and some data. So I am keeping it fast because we will not waste time in learning about database here, and that is not a point of this class at all. Right? We are not learning any database, so I will not waste time in this part. right? Just I will show you. You can simply do this. So we will create one database. Click create database button, and it is asking what should be the database name. Database name, actually remember here, after you connected, so general RDBMS and MongoDB terms are little different. In RDBMS, generally what you do, you call as database. Here also we will call as database only. Generally in RDBMS, you will call tables. Data will be stored in tables. Here we call as collections. That means MongoDB don't have tables. MongoDB have collections. Data is stored in collection. Table is called as collection. Table contains records. Table contains records. Every row is called as a record. Here we call as a document. Every row is a document. Every row is a document. And generally here you call fields. Columns are called fields. Here also fields. Here also we call fields. Document contain fields. Generally we call here joins, right? In RDBMS we have joins. Here we call as embedded documents. We call embedded documents. So technically in general RDBMS, these are all the options. In MongoDB, the words are different because actually MongoDB is non-SQL. It is non-SQL, or people call as no SQL, anything fine, same. That means it is not SQL based. So here all the queries will be simple JavaScript methods. JavaScript methods. Simple JavaScript methods, no SQL queries. Insert method, update method, delete method, all are simple JavaScript methods. No SQL queries here. And non-RDBMS also it is. So no structured data, right? So these are all the points you will learn while learning MongoDB. But as of now, first step what you have to do. So we have to click create database. And we will give a database name. Database name. Database name I will just give as AngularDB. Okay. And MongoDB is JavaScript based. JavaScript based means case sensitive. Capitalization matters. While giving database names, accessing them, everything matters. So database name is AngularDB, and it is asking, I am giving AngularDB. Any name you can give. Suppose I am giving like shopping DB, like this. So here I will just give as shopping DB. Shopping DB. Okay. And it is asking collection name. Collection name means what table you want inside it. While creating database, you have to mention one table name. You can add many tables inside it after that, but while creating it will ask a table name. Default one table, I will give table name TBL users, right? So we will use TBL users, that is the table name, database name and table name. TBL users, okay? Now click on create database. Now the database is created. A database is created by name shopping DB. Now in the database, click, already there is a collection called TBL users. You can create more tables. You can click create collection and you can add one more table. Any number of tables you can add, right? So now database is created, table is created. Now next step what you have to do, open the collection. You have to open the collection TBL users. After that, in that collection, so open that collection TBL users. Now in this we need to add data. That means table is currently empty. it doesn't have any records. By default, we will create one record we will create. And remember, as I told you, it is non-SQL and it is JavaScript based. So here every record is a JSON object. Every record is a JSON object. That means how you create JavaScript object, the same. That means every record is a JSON object. So see now, I will go to add data. It is asking two options. Already if you have data in a JSON file, you can import it. Import from JSON files. Or you can insert a new document manually. So I will insert a document manually. And you see this is JSON type. That means what we have to do, remove the sample data. JSON type, you know how to write JSON objects. Correctly what you have to do, curly brace, open, close, and property name must be string, compulsory, right? And here property name I will give user ID. User ID, what should be the user ID? All data types are JavaScript data types. That means string, number, boolean, object, array, everything same JavaScript. So here user ID I will give John, that is John underscore NIT, some user ID I am giving. Okay, next the username. Username I will give as John. Okay, and I will give here password. So what you want for a registering user, those fields we will design. Password some John @123, and another one is email. So here I defined some john@gmail.com. Okay, and we have like some mobile. So here we say +919876543210. These are all the details we want in a registration table. So we need to create a registration form in Angular. That registration form contains all these details. They will fill up the details and they submit. That will insert into database. Right from Angular, we need to post the data and it should store here. These are the fields we want for registration. Okay. Now, so click OK. Insert. That means it is inserted successfully. One record ready. One record is ready. In MongoDB, automatically one unique ID will be generated. Actually, MongoDB is supporting indexing. That means you can index on any field. There is no primary key required. There is no primary key required. Without primary key, you can index on any field. You can insert, you can update based on username or user ID or email. You can delete based on email, user ID, username, anything you can do. You can index on any field. So this is quite simple. It's same like JavaScript you have used. Now ready, database ready, table ready, some data is present. This is it. If you want, you can add more tables, more data into this. Now we will create an interface for this to the users. Okay, so what we will do now, close it. So, or keep it aside. Database ready. So we open the collection TBL users. Then we have to select add data. And in this, we have to insert the data. Inserting the data is nothing but this one. This is the data we are inserting. So user ID. So then username and password and email. Okay. Email and mobile. This is the data we are inserting. I just given the data here. Add data. And the data will be in a JSON form. It will be in a JSON form. Right. All this you need to keep in quotes that you can try. This is all the data we created. Temporarily, I will give this. Okay. And we have email and password. Otherwise, it will show error saying that data is in invalid format. It will show error. So this is the data we are having and we are configuring, right? So this is all the object, JSON object that we have, right? Now data is ready. So we have the database, we have the table and the data ready. Okay. So next step, after you configured and creating database in MongoDB, now what we have to do is you need to write server-side logic. That means server-side API. Server-side we need to create API to communicate with the database and the client. So from client we have to accept the request and communicate with the database, get the data from the database and return. For that you need two things. One is Node.js and Express. By using this you can create server-side API. Again, what is the specialty about Node.js and Express? These two are JavaScript based. So for people who are already aware of JavaScript, they can simply use this Node.js and Express as server-side technology. So now what we have to do, we have to create an API. I hope you already know the concept, what is API, why we need APIs and all this in the beginning, or if you learned any server-side technology, you have the knowledge. What is it? What is API? Not full form, I am asking. What? Set of rules. What rules? Actually, to understand the concept of API, you have to know about distributed computing architecture. You have to know distributed computing to understand the concept of API. So what is distributed computing? Distributed computing is nothing but distributed computing allows two applications running on two different machines to share information. Distributed computing allows two different applications running on two different machines to share information. Or not only that, or it can be two different applications running on same machine. So running on same machine in two different process can share information. That is what actually distributed computing. Two applications running on two machines can share information between them. For example, you are using, suppose we are using Netflix. How to open Netflix and watch movies? Then I will open a browser and I will access Netflix here. This is web application, Netflix web application. In my computer, I have a Netflix app. What is difference between them? I can watch movies from Netflix app. I can watch from web browser. What is the difference? This is an distributed application. If I ask, tell me about some mobile applications that you have on mobile. If you say Amazon, Swiggy, Netflix, Flipkart, Zomato, WhatsApp, they are not mobile apps. They are distributed apps. They are all distributed apps, not mobile apps. Distributed apps means server side YouTube will be there, client side you are using YouTube app, server app, client app. There will be communication between the server and client app. Server app will send data to client. Client app will communicate with the server. What is advantage of watching YouTube on YouTube app instead of watching on browser? App will provide several offline data. App will allow to download and watch offline, which is not available on web browsers. It's not available on web browsers. App can fit onto any device easily. Right? The technical point is these are all distributed applications. That means two applications running on two different machines can share information. Not only two machines, two applications in a same machine running in two different processes can share information. For example, you have some banking app and you have some SMS app. Now bank sends an OTP to your SMS app. So SMS app contains that OTP. Sometimes bank app can read that OTP without typing. Right? That means SMS app doesn't belong to bank. It is your mobile app. And it is sharing its information to bank app. Right? That is sharing of information between two applications running on same machine. Or sharing of information between two applications running on two different machines. That is distributed computing. There are so many distributed computing technologies. Popular distributed computing technologies. Popular distributed computing technologies we have like Corba, we have like DCOM, we have like RMI, we have like EJB, so we have like web services, so we have like remoting. All these are popular distributed computing technologies. Different technologies use different distributed computing architectures. So these are all distributed computing technologies. So these are all the distributed computing technologies. Yeah. So distributed computing technologies web APIs answer. This is where are these distributed? Yep. So this is actually the distributed computing. Yeah. So you can see this is what actually distributed computing is. This is the distributed computing. Distributed computing. So this is the basic distributed computing. That means allows communication between two applications running on two different machines. or it allows communication between two objects running on two different processes in the same machine, which belongs to two different applications. These are all distributed computing technologies. We have CORBA, Common Object Request Broken Architecture. It is used in more than 14 languages, including C++, Java. We have DCOM. It is used in Visual Basic, Microsoft, Distributed Component Object Model. We have RMI, Remote Method Invocations. You have EJB, Enterprise Java Beans. So you have web services known to all technologies. Java, .NET, PHP, Python, everybody knows web services. Remoting, it is related to .NET. These are all distributed computing technologies. So Web API represents a distributed architecture. That means you are creating an application which runs on a machine that shares information with application running on another machine. So that is what actually APIs are. API. Actually, the web services have two specifications. We have three specifications. We have SOAP, web these all not required for you. These are web service specifications. We have SOAP, we have REST and JSON. SOAP means service oriented architecture protocol. Here the request from the client will be in XML form. Response from the server will be in XML. Consumer and provider, there will be two. Service consumer, service provider. In SOAP, consumer will send XML request, provider will send XML response. In REST, consumer will send a simple, REST is representational state transfer. In REST, consumer will send a simple query request and provider will send a XML response. Optionally, JSON. But in JSON, request will be in JSON, response also will be in JSON. These days we use this very much. So that means even we are not much dependent on REST, more than REST. We are now using more than REST. Actually, this is SOAP. SOAP, the request will be in XML, response also will be in XML. We have REST. In the REST, request will be in a simple query, response will be in XML. In JSON, request and response will be in JSON. Now we have to learn how to create this API. We have to learn how to create this API. How to create this API. That means a client-side app and a server-side app. Client-side app is your Angular and server-side app is your API app, which will share information with it. In the communication will be in the form of JSON. So now how to create that? What you have to do, let's say, creating API using Node and Express. We'll see how to do that. Node and Express are both JavaScript based. So it's very simple. You can just use JavaScript. So what we will do now is go to your project, your Angular project, same workspace. You open your Angular workspace and in the Angular workspace already we have a Angular app. This is the client-side app. We already have a client-side app. We will create a separate folder in the workspace called server. I am adding a separate folder server. Here we will put all the server-side logic. All the server-side logic we will keep in this folder. So what you do, just first one, go to your Angular workspace and add a new folder, so that is server, and in that server folder add a new JavaScript file. JavaScript file, and I will give the name as api.js. So that means we will go here first in the server. I will add a new file api.js. This is the location where we keep all the server side logic. But we need to install some libraries required for creating API. So what you have to do is install the following libraries to create server side API. To create server side API, you have to install the libraries. The libraries npm install one, you need Express. It is a library for middleware. Node.js is already working because you already installed Node.js in the beginning itself, right? npm install Express. Another one, npm install MongoDB. You need MongoDB. This is the library to communicate with MongoDB database. That means every database needs a client library. So you already installed MongoDB. Here you are not installing MongoDB. You are installing the library required to communicate with MongoDB. That means we call it as MongoDB drivers. We are installing MongoDB drivers so that any technology can use the driver to communicate with the database. And you need one more, npm install CORS. CORS is very important if CORS is not installed, because currently you will be creating two apps on same machine, then problem will come. That means what you are doing, your server is same. Currently what you are doing is, actually both are different applications, but what you are doing, this is your PC. On your PC IP address is this. So 127.0.0.1. Now what you will do, you are creating a client app. The client app will be on which port number? It is on port number 4200. That is on the port number. And you will create a server app. This will be on some other port number. Any port number you can give, suppose 8080, some port number, anything you can give, doesn't matter. Now the point is, both are on the same machine, on same IP, two port numbers, and when you try to share data, from this to this, now it will block, because it thinks that some threatful data is coming, right? Security issues. This is called CORS, Cross Origin Resource Sharing, CORS. So CORS is to be allowed by your app. That means your server side application should tell the client side app that allow data sharing. Otherwise it will not allow data sharing. It thinks that from same app, from same IP, different app is trying to send data, means somebody is trying to hack or inject something. So due to that, it will block it. We should remove that, and we should tell that don't allow to block. For that you need a separate library, CORS. By using CORS you can manage this. So you have CORS. You need CORS, right? These are enough. These three libraries are enough, right? Let's install them in the project. You have to install them. Anywhere you install, they will be in node modules. npm. So here we have to install npm some problem in loading. Let's open one more time. Yep. So let's open the terminal. Okay. I will change this to command prompt. Yeah. Now here we need to install libraries. So let's install them. Yeah. npm install one is express. So save. Okay. So we are downloading and installing express. So that is to configure and create the API. To create API, we need this express. Okay. Next, npm install. Another one is MongoDB. Save. We are downloading the MongoDB drivers to communicate with MongoDB database. And one more, we need npm install CORS. These three are installed successfully. So we are downloading and installing all these libraries. Now you need to write the server side logic. Here we have to write a Node.js program. Actually in Node.js, it uses require.js for importing library. That means what you have to do, where we have to import. One is express by using require. Require what? Express. That is the module. Generally how we import statement we will use. This is MongoDB, this Node.js is using require.js. That is the module system. So you have to just import the module by using express. And another one, we need Mongo client. So we have to import require MongoDB. In MongoDB, we have a class called Mongo client. We need that class. So MongoDB is a very big library. In that, so many will be there. In that, we need only one class, Mongo client. Next, we need CORS. So require CORS. That is enough. These are the modules you have to import. After importing, we have to create a connection string to communicate with MongoDB. And MongoDB connection string is MongoDB:127.001.270.17. That is the Mongo connection string. After this, now we need to create a app, server-side API app. So Express allows to create a server-side app. So where app is equal to Express. This makes a server-side app. Now this server-side app have to use CORS to avoid blocking. That means we have to use app.use CORS. It should use that CORS library. Okay. One more important is when you are fetching data from client application, from client side data is sent to here. Generally from client we will send data from form and we submit data on post. On post when you submit data, it will be in form body. I hope you already know. Data can be submitted on get and on post. If data is submitted on get, it will be in query string. If data is submitted on post, it will be in form body. That form body is in a general format which is not suitable. We have to convert that into JSON. That means actually we need a parser which will convert data coming from client to JSON. Data, when it goes from server to client, it will be in JSON only, default. But when data comes from client, it should be converted into JSON. Actually, in old versions, for that we need a body parser. Body parser is a separate library we have to install. But in new Express, we don't need a body parser. Express internally have a body parser. We have to enable that body parser so that it will convert the incoming data into JSON. So app.use Express app.use, you have to use URL. So URL, so Express actually. Express.url encoded, URL encoded, extended to true. We have to set this. This indicates that whatever data is passed from the client, it is allowed to transfer, because it will not allow to block the data, because CORS will block the data. Whatever data is posted from the client, so from any cross URL, if data is coming, allow to post it. Actually, it is using body parser. You see, it uses a body parser. Earlier, we have to use a separate body parser, but now we don't need, it will handle it. After the data comes, app.use, that Express have to convert the data into JSON. Express.json will convert the data into JSON. That means first allow data to come. After data comes, convert the data into JSON. Now once the data is converted into JSON, you can post or do anything. Now we will create two API methods. So how to create API methods? So we have to just use app.get. One API method is get method. What this get method have to do? What is the get method request? Request will be, it will be simply /get users. That is what your fake store get methods were. Fake store get methods /products. What /products will do? It will return all products. /products/1, that will return specific product. So this is the API request. So on this request, it will use a callback function. This callback function will have two objects, server side objects, two objects. One request object, another one response. Request object is to fetch information from client. Response object is to send information to client. Every server side technology works with these two objects, request and response. And here you see now what we have to do when user says get users. I have to connect with database, get all the users from the table and return that users. That means now here we have to connect with the database. How to connect with the database? We will use Mongo client. Mongo client is an object created for this MongoDB Mongo client. Through that object, we can use connect method and connect with the connection string. The connection string we will pass here. That means it will connect with MongoDB database. After connection, you will have a callback function. This function will have two objects. One is error. If there is problem in connection, it will return error. Another one, client object. This client object can communicate with the database if connection is successful. Connecting with the database, managing interaction with the database is managed by this object. So if there is no error, then this client object have to communicate with the database. That means client object have to communicate with the database. You can access any database by using a method called DB. DB, which database name? Database name. Our database name is shopping DB. That is the database name. Now this database is loaded into memory. In the database there will be tables and others. Then how to access that from memory? We will use a reference name where database object is equal to that database. That means you can handle interaction with the database by using DBO. Now in this database there is a collection called TBL users. We have to read all the data from that collection. So here DBO database object have to use collection. And which collection? Collection name is TBL users. It is an array. It is an array of objects. In that case, to read all the collection from array, we have a simple find method. Find is a simple method. Generally what we do if it is SQL, we will write here select star from table users. Find is a MongoDB command. It is used to query data from the table. And find is a command which will return all the records. If you want to query, I want to return only whose username is John, then you can write query here. You can simply say user ID. User ID is what? John. Only that information will come. Here we have to use the queries in this way. If you use an empty parenthesis, it indicates select all. That means it will return all the records. Now find command will read all the records. After reading all the records, we have to convert into two array. What two array will do is, it will read every record. Actually two array uses a callback function. This callback function will have error. This callback function will have error and will have documents. That means if there is problem in reading, it will return error. If there is no problem in reading, it will return documents. That means find command returns all the documents. So we will write a logic. If there is no error, what should happen? It should send the documents to client. That means response dot send. Response object will send what? It will send documents. It will send documents to the client. That means whatever data comes from the table, it will convert the data into an array. Here array means it is in JSON and it will send that as response. So your get users ready. So get users is ready to fetch the data and return the data. We can test this. So let's test this first. For that we have to start API. That means the server should start. Then we have to run this application app.listen. Server uses a method called listen. That means generally you say server started, but technically we say server listening. We say that server is listening. Now you can make a request, right? The word listen indicates that start the server. Okay, on which port number? You have to tell the port number to start. So I will use 8080, any port number. Then put a message just for confirmation, console log saying that server started. What will be the address? http://127.0.0.0.1. That is common. In that port number is how much? 8080. Here your API is working. And in your API currently only one method is there, that is get users. So let's start this program now. To compile the node JavaScript file, you already know how to run a JavaScript file. Already we learnt in TypeScript, right? To run a JavaScript file we have to use node compiler, node api.js. Now it says that server started. So it should display the message server started. Okay, let's test it. You can test from separate debugging tools like Postman, Fiddler, Swagger. So many API debugging tools will be there. Get request you can test from directly browser also. So here http://127.0.0.1:8080/ in that get users. Get users is the method. We are requesting it and it will return the data. The same like how fake story is returning, how NASA API is returning, same. Now what a Angular developer needs, only that URL. Only that URL. Alright, that means I don't care which technology you use in the background. We don't care. Many people who don't know proper technology, do you know what question they ask? Sir, how to use Angular with .NET? So it is very clear that they don't know .NET. Right? How to use Java, Angular with Java? What you are talking? That means you create API services. Angular developer doesn't care about what technology you have in the background. Until or unless, sometimes what they do, into server side app, they integrate client side app. That is what they need to learn. That technology will teach you. Sometimes what they do, they integrate client side app into server side app. When they integrate, some integration features are required. This is not integration. Consuming API don't care about what backend technology you are using. That means it is not like how to use with Java, how to use with .NET. Anybody have to generate API. Your technology will teach how to create such APIs. And what you need in Angular, just that URL. Only URL. I don't need to know which technology you used, which drivers you are using, nothing. Which database you are using, I don't care. Till now you used fake store. Do you know which database they use? But you are working with it, querying it, you can handle interactions with it. So we don't care about the database in the background server side. We just need API. Now the API is ready. Now we need to just consume and use this API. Now we need to create one more request, that is for posting data. That means because from Angular we will post data, it will be inserted into the database. That means now see, let's do that. I will stop this. Okay. Control C will terminate. Then here I need one more API method. What is it? App.post method. And post method, I will put the method name as a register user. This /register user, this is the method. And this method, so we'll use a callback function, request and response. Now, what we have to do here is, we have to collect the data coming from form. And request object can collect it. Request object can collect. From where you will submit data? We will submit data from form body. From form body, when we submit the data, it will collect it. So we will create a data object. This object contains fields. What are the fields? User ID. From where user ID comes, same database fields you have to design here. From where data will come? Data will come from form body. Who will collect the data? Request object. Request.body. So from the form body, it will request user ID. That means whatever user ID you submitted. So that means in the form, we will design a user ID and that we will send here. That means actually this is nothing but this is about your form. In the form, you will have a text box. The text box ID will be this one. Understood? We are sending the data here. That is what we are defining. Now similarly we have username. Username also request.body.username. Similarly we have password and request.body.password. So similarly we have email, and here we have request dot body dot email. If you are trying with, yeah, so another one is mobile, and here it is request dot dot body dot mobile. All these are ready. Now this data to be inserted into the table called TBL users. For that, actually again we have to connect Mongo client dot connect with connection string. We have to connect with connection string. Same callback function. It will use an error object and it will use an client object. And here, if there is no error, then we will create a database object. It will use the client object dot db. The database is what? Shopping DB. In the database, we have to access a collection, dbo dot collection. The collection name is TBL users. Into that insert one to insert one record. Insert one. Which one to insert? The data, whatever data you collected. Understood? This is the data you collected. You have to insert. After inserting, use the callback function. This function will return error if there is problem in inserting, and it will return the result if it is successful. If there is no error, we will return the result as console.log as record inserted. Right? Now temporarily, I have to test this register user. You can't test from browser. So one more time compile this. Okay, it is started. You have to test from any debugging tool, web debugging tool. You can download web debugging tool like Fiddler. You can download Postman. You can download Swagger. These are all web debugging tools. Right, in my computer, I am having Postman. This is a debugging tool. You can download and install these debugging tools. Different technology, people use different. So we can use that. Actually, some debugging tools are available as extension in VS Code also. VS Code extensions, you can add some debugging tools. But actually, we already have this Postman because of other technologies we deal here, right? So I'm already having this Postman, and you see here, in this Postman, here you need to, so yeah. Here you need to click on plus, that is a new request. And in that it is asking which request you want to test. We want to test the method post. What is the URL? http:// your API URL 127.0.0.1:8080/register user. Okay, this is the API URL. And remember, this is designed on post. You have to make sure that you selected post. Right? On post, okay. Now you see it is asking what is the body data. Then you can go to, because it is expecting some data. We go to body. You see URL encoded form data is there. You select that URL encoded form data. Here it is asking key and value. So key is username, user ID. I will give the user ID something here like David _ some UI, something like this. And second, username is David. Username is David. Okay, next, password is some David@11. Next, email. So david@msn.com something. And like another option is mobile. Mobile is like +9198765431, something like this you have. Now after entering all the data, then you have to click on this send button. Right, click on the send button. Okay, once the data is sent, you can see here record inserted message came. right? Once the record is inserted, you check in the database, or you can check here also, right? What we will do now, we will make a new request. What is the request? On get only, http://127.0.0.1:8080/get users, get users, and click on send. It will get that users and display. You can see the two records are ready. That means I can test it from in the database also. Go to MongoDB Compass. In that, refresh the database. You can see the two records are there. The new record is inserted into the database. That means now we have the API ready. We have the API ready. So that means now you can use this get users for login. You can use this for register. Users will register from here. User will log in from here. That means we will access all the user details. In there you will verify user ID and password are matching with the database or not. Then we will allow. So that means now we are configuring the API and testing the API. So this is the API.js code. This is all the code. This is all the code to communicate with the API. Now we have the server side backend ready. Now what we have to do in the client side, we need to consume this API and use. And no need to show actually how to consume, you already know now. You need these two URLs. What you have to do? You have to go to service, create one service. In that service, get users, post users. We will see, we will create one form. We will create a registration form, a login form with route, and user will register. After registering, he will log in. While login, it will verify from the database. After login, if credentials are correct, then it will use route guards. By using route guards, it will give access to any path. Otherwise, it will again ask to log in. And after accessing, user will log in and he can browse all the other modules until he sign out. Once he clicks sign out, then he will come out of that, and again he need to log in to view. For that, we need to maintain data in cookies. That means we need some session management so that we can store data in a cookie and we can access and use it. This all process we will see in next session, right? So up to this you try first, database and server side. Now how to create a interface and how to communicate, that we will see now in the next session, right? Next session will be on Monday, right? Tomorrow no session, right? Again we will meet on Monday, and on Monday session we will finish the design of complete end-to-end integration. Then we have some security features. By Wednesday, Thursday we will finish all the concepts. Okay, so Wednesday, Thursday we will finish all the concepts. Some other topics are there, we will discuss that, right? So deployment, how to deploy on cloud, all such options are there, we will see that, right? That we will see in next session. Monday will continue. Okay, right.